Hi there, and welcome to the Game Development with Unity workshop. I'm Robert Booth. I'm the instructor for this course, and I want to first express my appreciation to Digital Nest for giving me the opportunity to teach a workshop. Um, so this is the Google Classroom, which, to get the best experience in the class, you're going to need to be part of the Google Classroom, and most of the students still have one more I need to get in, but uh, they're in there, and it's also where I'm going to post these videos. So I guess if you're seeing the video, you must have got in here. So we're going to start off by going to a website called the Unity Asset Store. I'm going to assume that your machine already has Unity Hub and some version of Unity installed on your machine already. And then I want you to go to the Unity Asset Store. Okay, just trust me on this. And you got to have an account at the Unity Asset Store. There always will pop up little advertisements like that one I just zapped. So click on the little person right here. And if you don't already have a Unity account, you need to create one. You'll want to create one because it will open up the door to a lot of really cool free assets. And if you dive in, it's a lot of stuff to go have fun with. Um, Once you've created a Unity account, you'll click right on here, sign in. And when I created my Unity account, I took the Google option. When you create your Unity account, you want to make it simple, take the Google option. So, and I have multiple identities that sign into Unity. I sign in all three of these, but the one I'm going to use here with you guys, because this is Digital Nest, is my Digital Nest identity. I look different in every picture. So there we go. So I'm going to use my Digital Nest identity and I'm going to log in. Now, what I want you to search for here is I want you to search for tanks. And you'll see that there are some stuff, initially you might notice is they want money. But right down here, you'll find Unity Technologies Tanks Tutorial. This is the one we want. It's a great asset pack. The assets in here are really super cool. You can do more than just this tanks game with this asset. You could build a first-person shooter in here. You could build a variety of video games in there. Uh, it's a neat little environment. So I'd want you to click on tanks, and it'll take you to tanks. Now, because I've already got this added to my assets, I believe that you should have a button similar to this that says something like add to my assets. Click that and add it to your assets, and then it will be added into your folder. If you click up here on this little icon, my assets, it'll actually take you to your assets folder where you can see there's my tanks tutorial. It's already right there. And then there's even a little button like the one you just saw. It says open in Unity. Let's go back to the page that you might have been at. This one right here. The button here that says open in Unity. This is going to cause Unity Hub to open up. When Unity Hub opens up, we're going to set up the project, and then we're going to import. So I clicked on that button, and this window pops up and says, excuse me, the internet is trying to do something on your computer. Is it okay? Yes, open Unity Editor. And it's nice that that window popped up. You don't want these computer programs from the internet, just doing things they want to do to your computer. So now Unity Hub opens up. Hopefully you have 3.0 or higher so that your Unity Hub will look like mine. If you still have Unity Hub 2 point something, maybe it's time to upgrade. We're going to click on New Project because we're going to put this thing in a new project. And when you click on New Project, the default menu that pops up here, it comes to a 3D core. That is what we're going to build, a 3D, three-dimensional game, a game in X, Y, and Z. We'll name this one Tanks. But if you don't mind, I will just put on here for video. He's probably not going to like the parenthesis for video. So this is just so that I'm going to end up probably deleting this. Um, so tanks for video. And then we have to select a location to store it in. So we give it a name. We got to select a location. Your location probably is not D documents, but I would recommend that you go to your documents folder, wherever that lives. I put mine in my data disk because it's so big. It's taking up space on my SSD. I'm going to go down to, I have a folder here called Unity Projects. I'd like you to, however it works on your computer. On Windows 11 now, I have to click the new folder button here. And there's a few other things that are different. But you'll make a new folder, and you're going to name it, this one right down here, Unity Projects. And then you're going to select that folder, Unity Projects, the Unity Projects folder. Okay, I've already got a project in there for Nathan. So Unity Projects here, I'm going to select this folder, and I got everything set up. It's 3D. I gave it a name. I set its location. I'm going to click Create Project. Now is a waiting game. In fact, while I wait, I'm going to, something weird there, blocking my button. Okay, good. Why is that there? There we go. The Unity had a function down here that was getting in my way. So the project's opened up now. It's opened up here in Unity, and let's see. And I did click Open in Unity. Ah, there we go. Open Unity Editor. Come on. There we go. You might have to persuade it. So let's see. Package Manager, Tanks tutorial. There it is, right there. All right. So find that Tanks tutorial in the Package Manager. I think I figured it out. This was probably this window just didn't open up for me. There it is, Package Manager. So let me just go ahead and dock it over here. And then, so Tanks tutorial, select the Tanks tutorial, and then hit the import button over here, this import button. And this is importing a complete project will overwrite your current project settings. We're not going to worry about it because the project we just created is a completely empty project. It has nothing meaningful in it, so it's okay. Click import. And then this part that comes in says the Unity Package Manager has Package Manager dependencies. I've been clicking skip on this one because whenever that word install shows up, if it's going to involve installing software, we need administrative privileges in order to do that on these machines. So I click skip to avoid that. Everything is highlighted here. If everything is not highlighted, you can click the button all, but then there's some things I don't want you to get. I want you to unclick complete game Unity, and I also want you to uncheck completed assets. I don't want you to download these files. It will just confuse things to have that folder sitting at the top of your hierarchy. I've seen it before. So you could go get it later if you really want to. It's got the whole finished game in it. But I don't want you to be distracted by it. I want you to build the game. So everything else is going to be all the assets we'll need in order to build this game. And as you can see, we are bringing in a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of files, and there's even files you don't know about. So I'm going to click the import button and start this process. And here it comes. The project is coming in. Yeah, there's my control. Okay. Can I take that off of there? No, it's stuck in the web browser window. Okay. So now all the assets are imported into the project. You should now see you have a whole bunch of folders here. Now, we're not going to live in this layout right here. This layout is not the layout that I want to have for the development of the game. These panels, like the inspector panel right here and the hierarchy panel and project, and this one's going to disappear just for a minute, but we're going to get it back. That one will disappear too. Up here in the top right corner is a button called Layout. I want you to click on that and change to a 2x3. Now that we're in a 2x3, maybe you noticed I moved that package manager window around. I'm going to click and grab this project panel, and I want to put it right down there underneath the hierarchy panel. So split the difference here, and then I'm going to mouse over, get the double arrows, and just push everything over. There's a little slider down here. Right down here, there's a slider in the project window. I'm going to slide it all the way to the left so I can clearly see everything in here. So the different windows that are in here, the scene window, it's where we're going to create our game. The game window, it's where we're going to play our game. The hierarchy panel. This will show all the objects that are going to be in our scene. The project panel. It's where we manage all the assets we use to build the project. And the inspector panel lets us look at properties of the different objects in the scene. The scene, let's set that up. So there's a scenes folder here. Right now it's got a sample scene in it. I am going to, with my mouse over this area right here, just my mouse hanging loose right there, I'm going to right click my mouse and select create scene. And it puts that in there, and it's ready for me to put the name, which is going to be capital M, main. And I'm going to double click main, and now main is the active scene up here in the hierarchy. I'll select the sample scene, hit the delete key, backspace. I'm also impressed. Many of my students, they just right click it because they know that right click always opens up an interesting menu, and they delete it just like that. So thank you to my young students at Alvarez High who taught me that. Uh, all right, so now our main scene's ready to go. There are a couple of other windows that we want to bring into the game here before we get started. We want to get the console window back. We're going to click on Windows, General, Console. That window comes out undocked. I'm going to click on Console and I'm going to dock it right over here by the game panel. So the console window will be right there back next to the game panel. I'm also going to get another window, Rendering, Lighting. And I'm going to dock the lighting window over here next to the inspector tab. The lighting window is pretty wide. It's got a lot of space there because it has a bunch of writing in here they want to communicate with us. And so if it's active, it will actually force itself to be that big, but you can then squeeze it back down if you want to conserve space. Um, I work something in between, here and about there. I like to be able to see all the names of my folders over here, and you just get it to where it's comfortable for you. Now, with this layout, with these 7 panels, scene, game console, hierarchy, project, inspector, and lighting here, with these panels, I'm going to click on the layout button and I'm going to click save layout. And I call this one my layout. Now, the first time you save it, it'll be, saved. But otherwise, I've saved this so many times now, I'll just overwrite it. So now you have the layout saved. You should even say up there in the corner, that you've given it a named layout. So if you accidentally, find yourself in a force split, you can very quickly and easily go back to my layout and be right where you want to be. All right. Now, there's a directional light that comes with every scene. When you create a standard scene, a directional light is in there. And we don't need this one. We're going to delete it because down here in this folder called the prefabs folder, there are objects that are already made for us. We got some stuff that's already in here, and we're going to click on and drag a level art and drop the level art right up here in the hierarchy. And here's the world we're going to play around in. So this is a big composition of a lot of models. There are a ton of models involved in all this. Here's the oil field with the storage and the pump jacks and the refinery. We're going to have fun with the pump jacks later. So this is the level art that's in the game, and it might have noticed it has a directional light in it. So this is already set up for us by Unity, came with the package. The tint of the color is already set, and some other specific settings have been made. So we're just going to go with that level art that's right there. Now let's see. There are a few things we need to get set up here also with respect to the lighting. With the lighting, we need to we need to create a new lighting settings. So I'm going to click on this button, New Lighting Settings. This enables this menu for me to set some settings for lighting for our game. We're going to turn off baked global illumination. We're going to uncheck that. We want our shadows, our lighting to be happening in real time so that the shadows will change. As the tank drives around, the shadows the tank casts are going to be based on real-time global illumination. So the direction of our light shining on our tank will set the way the shadows cast off of our tank. And we're going to set the indirect resolution to 0.5 for our real-time global illumination. I'm going to switch here from the Scene tab to the Environment tab. And in the Environment tab, we're going to change the source to a color. And the color we're going to use is going to be 72, 62, 113, kind of a purplish hue. So did you notice that the scene kind of got a kind of a purplish look to it? That's because of that. This is what we just did with the lighting. And I'll take that setting for the lighting for my ambient color of my source being color. And let's see. Next, we want to get our camera in position. Our camera needs to be in position. Now, I selected the camera, but I'm still here looking at lighting. I'm going to switch to the Inspector tab. On the Inspector tab, I can now see that, okay, I got my main camera. It's got a transform. I can see its position. We're going to change the position of our camera. We're going to put it at negative 43 for the moment, 42. Pardon me. And negative 25 for Z. And we're going to set the rotation in X at 60 degrees, correction, 40 degrees, and our rotation in Y at 60 degrees. You have this kind of sideways view of the playing area here. So we've moved our camera up in the air. I can move back here. The camera was lying on the ground, but now the camera is is set up in the air here. And we're going to change our camera from a perspective camera. So right now it's a perspective camera. You notice in a perspective camera, objects that are closer appear larger than objects that are farther away. But in an orthographic camera, um, it objects don't change in scale. They all kind of look relatively the same size, no matter where you're looking at them in the image. They all look about the same size. That's an orthographic camera. Notice also the transform changed. If I change from back to a perspective, look at these lines out here coming out of the camera. This perspective camera, the angle increases as you go out further. But with a orthographic projection, it's just a straight box going straight down over a certain area, and it's a very defined area, and it's in a box, and everything is in the same level of zoom within that box. And we're going to talk more about the camera in stage 3. So let's see here. We're going to change our clear flags to solid color, and we're going to change our color to, I believe it was 80 tab 60 tab 50. And it's a kind of a brownish color. And yeah, there it is. Yes, a kind of a brownish color. All right. And I think that was it on the lighting, on the main camera. Got the camera in position here. Um, Very important because we're going to be getting to a script later, so wouldn't hurt to do it right now as we're setting the stage. I'm going to click on Edit and go down to Preferences. And in Edit Preferences, I want you, when it does there, go there, you probably went to Timeline. I want you to click on External Tools. And yours probably says right here for external script editor, yours probably says open by file extension. I need you to please change that to Visual Studio Community. Give it a moment here. It's catching up with me. There we go. So now it's set to the proper editor. That's we're going to use Visual Studio to do our C# coding. Once that's set, we're going to click the X. And then this is really important. Click on File and Save. Save your project. Save early, save often. I can't emphasize it enough. Save, save, save. You cannot save enough. Save. All right. Now, we're going to start to work on our tank. So in the one folder up from prefabs is the models folder. So I'm going to roll down here to the tank model, and I'm going to drag it up here and drop it in the hierarchy. And there goes the tank, and we see the tank appears right here in the scene. Turns out, by design, our camera is aimed to be centered right on that spot, right on 000, based on these numbers we have here. It's aimed nicely aimed at that spot. So this is the tank. It's a model. It's a pretty cool model. Now, some things about moving around in Unity here. I can zoom in here in the scene view by middle mouse wheel. If I left click my mouse, nope, middle mouse, hold my middle mouse down. It gets the little hand comes out here, and I'm able to pan this around, move this around. If I press the Alt key and left click, I can rotate. So Alt key and left click, I can rotate my scene right here. And you can also manipulate this by clicking on some of these, but it just takes you to preset positions. For me, the best work, or the way that works best for me, is to, yeah. So get a feel for that, and then select your tank. You can click it in the hierarchy. With the tank selected in the hierarchy, I'm going to press the F key and also mouse over the scene. So I've got my tank selected here. Mouse is over the scene. I'm going to press the F key, and this will cause the scene view to frame on the selected object. It's like a way to quickly zoom on something. Hold down my Alt key and left click here so I can move that around and down a little bit with that. There we go. That's, yeah, better. I had that just a little bit too high. And I'll mouse out a little bit. So this is the thing we're going to build here. This is our tank. So we're going to need to add some stuff to the tank. We're going to add some components. So here on the Add Component button, I'd like you to type RI. We're going to add a rigid body. A rigid body is a component that allows us to use physics to make the tank move. Um, it's one way to make objects move in a video game. And Unity has a great physics engine, and it's going to make this tank scoot around this little scene here very nicely. So the rigid body has different settings that we're able to affect. We can change gravity. We're going to take the defaults right here, which is just basically normal Earth gravity. But we want to limit some of the movement of the tank. This word constraints, it's a great word for restrictions. Open the constraints up by clicking the little gray triangle right here. And we want to freeze our position in Y. If you look at the tank here, and if you kind of zoom on the tank, and yeah, I did something earlier when I was messing around with this thing. I don't know what I did, but it's doing a weird clipping thing on me. I'll figure it out and I'll get back to you on it. I can still proceed. Uh, so we don't want the tank to be moving in Y. We don't want it to be moving up. The Y axis is the green stick. We want to be moving in X, which is the red stick, and Z, which is the blue stick. So we want to be moving, forward and backwards. The tank will be able to turn to the left, turn to the right, and then we want to be able to move in the direction of what our forward is. If I were to rotate the tank a little bit, like let me rotate in Y a little bit. See the tank's turning there, I'm rotated. And if I change from global to local, you'll notice that stick right there moves. Let me, in fact, now, yes, now the stick's even moving with the tank. Okay, that might have been fast there. This little button controls the sticks. This is the global world, the world XYZ axis, global. This is the local, the object that's selected. That object has an actual forward, and the Z axis is always pointing to that forward. So, I'm able to rotate in Y, but I don't want to be moving in Y because that means my tank can be able to jump up in the air, and don't want to be doing that. Put that back at 0 and put that back at 0. Okay, so everything's reset back to 0. I'm going to go back to global also. There are some directions we don't want to rotate. We definitely don't want to rotate in X because look what happens. And we don't want to rotate in Z because something else bad happens too. So we want to freeze rotation in X and freeze rotation in Z by checking those boxes in the constraints and freezing position in X. And that takes care of the rigid body. We can close it. Time to add a new component. Type the letters BO and select a box collider. Now our box collider, you can see it. Let me pan around here a little bit. Can you see that green box sticking through the bottom right there? So that little green box that's sticking through the bottom of the world, it's actually sticking out of the bottom of the tank. We want to get that green box so it's actually so it kind of doesn't entirely contain the tank, but so that it reaches like the borders and the edges of the tank. We don't want the tank to like we want collisions to look like the tank's running into something. A little tiny bit of overlap is not going to be discernible to the eye when the tank does collide with something. So we're going to set the Y position for the center of the box collider. We're going to set that up at 0.85. And you'll notice that, okay, now that bounding box is now inside the tank. And then I'm going to change the size in X to 1.5, the size in Y to 1.7, and the size in Z to 1.6. And now the bounding box does a really good job of approximating the shape of the tank. A very good job. And especially at the base of the wheels, where the wheels will run into things, it really looks very good. All right, so that's going to take care of the box collider. We'll close that for now. We're going to come back to the box collider later when we have to start detecting the shells hitting the tank. Now, this is the point we got to on day one. We got to day one, 6 p.m., time ran out, and that was it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and then I'm going to recap what we did tonight, Tuesday night, in the next video. Thanks.